for that delay. We were having our bi-weekly technical issues.
Woo! Actually, on my side this time, my microphone didn't want to work until I turned it off and on again. My laptop, not the microphone.
Yeah. The way it goes. But anyway, we're here now. Get to proper introductions out of the way. I am Cursive Chords. Joining me today is...
Solving problems?
Solving problems, yes. We have 2 weeks worth of spoilers to talk about. 6 cards, I believe.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, really, Thorax is like half a card because we don't know the start side yet, but still...
Yeah, but like, a boosted side's usually what you talk about the most anyway.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And in my case...
I guess we can talk about the old Glim as well.
Yes.
The one when we didn't know what it did.
Yep,
properly.
I have a slide worked up for that. Yes, now that we know what redeem means, there's actually quite a lot of extra considerations to be made. Starlight for the new card that uses that word as well. So, in my case, I'm also coming off of Everfree, which I just did a fair amount of commentary for, so I can have some. I can say a little bit about that as well toward the end.
Yeah.
How that all went, but shall we get right to it?
Yeah, let's do this.
Rightio. So, as usual, we're going to be going in chronological order, from earliest spoilers to most recent. So, with that, our first one is going to be the new Thorax. Thorax, a changed changeling. Normal boosted side, except for that home limit 5, and a +1 power for each of your friends with 2 or less printed power. Quite impressive.
Yeah. I like the fact it's printed, so it does encourage use of baton and other effects with alongside him. But obviously, the simplest thing I said is like this card loves the concept of a Flutter Holly deck because he is your best copy of it.
Yeah, for sure. Love those tokens.
He's just nuts. Yeah. Desk squeaking. Oh, there we go. But yeah, so just him having a home limit of 5 on his own means that like he can easily just have 8 power. If you're using if you're using friends with that power that's already at problems, he can just get completely insane. Yeah, I really like this card's design. He's very obviously an ultra rare, although the card preview itself doesn't say that because it's on the start side.
Yep, and notably,
I can't wait to just brew with this ridiculous card.
Notably, the art is a little bit subdued for an ultra rare, but I guess that's fine for mains.
It's because the design of the new changeling is so ridiculous on its own.
I suppose that's perhaps true. Yeah. But the first thing that I thought of when I looked at this card is like the amount of efficiency that it gives to your low power friends, right? Like if your deck is full of 1-for-1s, now it's full of 2-for-1s, and that's pretty awesome. Certainly, people would like that. If your Fluttershy Rainbow Powers are now Marble Pies who can do face-offs.
Yeah.
So
I just like the synergy of this card with anything that makes tokens quick, like in an efficient way, like Rise and Shine. Immediate, get 2 1-for-1s that then also bump your main by 2. Seems good, right?
Totally,
yeah. It creates this sort of different deck archetype that I don't think we've really seen before, which I like. That's one of the upsides to mains is you can create an entire new deck type by just printing a main that can be like, well, do this then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very much has a feel like that to it, where you're just going to get this person, you're going to get this guy huge and be like, cool, I confront that problem with Thorax, and and it's just...
Yeah.
Another card that loves Industrial Revolution as well.
Yes, very, very true. Again, we
confront it +3 Thorax because that's fair.
We had last week in chat, Bugle pointed out to us that when we were talking about Flutter Holly, that in the past, big friends haven't been a thing, but certainly in the past, when you get big mains, they have been a thing. Yes. So
this card confirms that like everyone's going to need limestone. Was it?
limestone. Oh,
the exhaust to get rid of abilities effect.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that card's just going to be great.
Indeed.
Seeing some quite pushed mains.
Yeah. Now the
power level.
The notable thing is that, like, as opposed to other big mains we've had in the past, I'm talking about like Mod and Applejack. This card is vulnerable to board clears, right? If you and
so it feels fair.
And I suppose, especially, we'd be looking at Captain Jack from a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Oh, cool. Your main's on 4 now.
So, in that sense, it's... Well, no, go ahead.
Like, it's one of those cards where the reason why I like it so much, because it feels very powerful, but fair. Like, it doesn't feel unfair like with Mord, where it's like, oh, look, now you have 7 power and I can't do anything about it. At least with this card, you're like, well, if I do this, I can reduce his power by 1, and like you can actually interact with this the way this ability works. Whereas obviously when Mord came out, there was like no graveyard, there was no discard hate, and so she just had 7 power.
Pretty much,
but
yeah.
This there is so much friend removal in the game now that it's just go for it. You can try and stop this from happening, but the deck's going to be built so that it's going to happen.
Yeah, totally. So now, of course, the question, of course, is, and with all these new yellow cards that have been coming out, I think you and I are both cautiously optimistic about the color. Is that changing this? You think this is helping out? I mean, I guess obviously.
To be fair, I was optimistic from the get-go with the new Fluttershy main, just because that 3 for 0, 3 power for 0 on a problem is actually really nice. So I feel like there's going to be like 2 deck types. Can't call what's more powerful. Thorax obviously feels more powerful, but you have to make your ultra rares feel more powerful than your uncommons.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to see. Because I feel like the Fluttershy is a bit more persistent, because you just always leave her at home and just keep going.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, if it gets to problems, gets shrunk, and then you're like, oh no, I need to do these things so that he can actually do what I want him to do.
Yeah, true.
Like, I think the Fluttershy will be a little more consistent and work through removal, but this card is just ridiculously explosive and just loads of fun, probably.
So a little bit more risky, but with the higher reward on the end of it.
Oh yeah, just an absolutely massive reward.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I hope his flip condition isn't to play a card with Reformed, because that would be awkward.
That would be... Yeah, I suppose.
No, he's getting Reformed is kind of the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting idea. I mean, if you time to speculate about the flip condition. If you wanted to go for something flavorful, I don't know. I mean, I suppose he just needs some friends, right? So I'd imagine him be at a problem with 3 or 4 friends or something.
Some friends, so that he can then become the new changeling thingy.
Yeah.
But then you don't actually need friends because all the other changelings did it. But we'll ignore that part.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, so I would say something like, if he's at a problem with 2 of your friends or 3 of your friends or something, that sounds about like...
It could be a bit like, what is it from Canterlot Knights, the Pinky Pokey Pony?
Yes. Yeah.
Where it's like she needs to be with 3 friends at your end step and she flippity dops.
Right.
I think it'd be pretty broken if he had the blue in a flip.
Yeah. I think that's a never again, right there.
Yeah, that's a little too easy of a flip condition. Yeah, all in all, seems pretty good, and seems like it's going to be super fun building the decks with it.
Yeah, certainly.
With the current state of the format, with how controlling it is, I don't know how powerful he is in Harmony, but he's going to be completely ridiculous in block. I feel like.
Yeah, that's for sure. And yeah, you're right. Harmony is like it's a pretty slow format right now, so we'll see. But with that said, it's ripe for a good aggro deck or tempo deck to come in and say,
Yeah, to just sweep underneath some stuff.
yeah. So something to look forward to. Alrighty, ready to move on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the second card that came as part of this reveal, part of this Facebook reveal, was It's Gonna Work. This white song card, 5 power, 2 cost, 3 requirement, and 3 options. We either banish a friend with 3 or more power, we reduce our confront requirements by 2 for the turn, or we get to recur a troublemaker to play face up. So those are 3 very different options on the card.
So my verdict on this card is the first ability instantaneously makes this card playable.
Indeed, right? It's like
we know that Food Fight is a very good card. Having it at main phase for 1 extra requirement, but it banishes it forever. Because if you're not using pink, this card is literally just your Food Fight.
Yep.
The fact that you then have 2 other options, of which both are actually usable, is just good old icing on top of the cake, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I compare it to Uh-Oh, which sees play in white for sure, and costs 1 more. Yeah. Granted, this one only hits friends with 3 or more power, but from my experience,
stuff is big.
Generally you're playing it on cards with 3 or more power because it's your serious removal.
Because you just need to get rid of it.
Yeah. So oftentimes this is just going to be a cheaper that with extra versatility.
Yeah.
Sounds great to me.
I don't see the middle ability being used that much because it's kind of like 2 action tokens for 4-ish, maybe 6 power.
Mm-hmm. Rather situational.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah. Although.
Yeah, it's just a bit odd.
It's worth noting if you want to talk about cards being used for strange things. For one of my, I remember one of the top 8 games last night for Everfree. I saw someone play the Vote for the Point.
Yes, that's an amazing ability. What are you talking about? Super good. Your opponent goes, haha, I've made it so that I'm ahead of you, and so I can win next turn, but because of the problems that are out, you can only earn X points, putting you to 14. And then you go, the vote, I win, and they go, oh. Happened to me like 3 times now. It's really annoying.
Wow.
But yeah, the vote's extra point thing is legitimately good whenever you get it to happen.
But yeah, I mean, it's if you use that confront requirement, then you're kind of paying 2 AT for 4 power, kind of. Situationally useful, but as you say, the situation is a little hard to find.
Yeah, but I feel like if it's in your deck, there'll be one game where you're like, oh, if I can confront both this turn, I can do it. And after looking through your hand for an hour, you'll realize your It's Gonna Work can do that. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh yeah, it has that on it. Oops.
Yeah. So I suppose the question is, would you consider this a 3 of in like a white deck? Yeah,
yes,
I guess
easily.
So.
If Food Fight is a 3 of in pink decks, this is a 3 of in white decks.
Yeah, I can kind of.
If you get what I mean, it's just that similar, and that last ability is just adorable.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, white has been getting so much troublemaker recursion this set.
Yes.
Almost
just to annoy everyone.
Well, yeah. It's going to be, you only need to run like 2 troublemakers in your deck and just play them over and over and over again.
Yes. But the one thing I'm glad of is they've learned from their mistakes and they've made it so that all recursion abilities are on events rather than recurable on friends.
Right. That's a good point, yeah.
They're learning that you don't just get it again and again and again because that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's just not fair at all.
Although, of course, we can just f-stop this back to our hand if we like.
Yeah, but obviously, when they get round to thinking that maybe F-Stop's a little too good, because I personally think from the beginning he's been a little too good.
Well, I mean, as like kind of has been pointed out by a few people, the card gets better every set because more events get printed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
obviously in the first set it wasn't that great because events weren't that great, honestly.
yeah.
There was a few good ones at most, but the more sets have been printed, the more you can get with him, the better. And it's the same with Gyro. Like, the more of a toolbox you can make your deck, the better this card that goes and gets another card becomes.
Yep.
It's just, yeah.
For sure.
They both feel a bit too efficient for how the card game is now, but I'd say Gyro's just keepable, but I feel like F-Stop just kind of needs to go already. He's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in like every control deck ever. So
yeah, exactly. And it's not a win condition card like with Photo Finish. It's a I can keep controlling card, which is
yeah. But anyway, this one seems okay.
It's definitely good.
Yeah.
Like, I also like the idea of it in control strategies where you're using troublemakers to control, and you have the odd one that's epic, and you're like, oh, you just beat my troublemaker. That's there. Okay, I'm gonna get back this epic I played ages ago. Villain and all this doesn't trigger. I have the stuff to stop you from beating it. I'm gonna smack it in the face myself and get some points.
Indeed, yeah.
Like the sort of ignoring turning face up trigger part of this effect is really nice.
Yep. You could even throw that new Chrysalis into play and be able to take it down without worrying about having everything get sent home. Yes, we have a little notification from the chat that Gyro has also found use in combo decks as well. Enabler. Indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean.
Then again, like everything that searches for card types is always good in combo. If it searches for your combo.
It's a good point. Yeah. Honestly, I think the way that combo neighbors go, PFF would be probably the bigger issue there because you're usually searching for your friends.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I still think PFF's actually a balanced print card just because of the 2 cost rather than 1.
Yeah.
Because when you pay 2, you don't, or often you're not got the action tokens to then play it straight after. When you pay 1, you kind of just do.
Yeah, and it's worth noting for all the people who want Gyro to stay that Gyro searching for Destiny Drain is one of our best anti-combos out there.
That is, yeah. That's fair. It's definitely a good tutor for your anti-combo card. We need more cards like Destiny Drain if they want combos to stop.
Yeah. I would, after having watched Everfree, I would kind of concur with that.
Pay 4 action tokens, name a card, just banish them 5 ever.
It'd be kind of interesting, actually. But yeah, it's gonna work.
But yeah, so I think that's all we've got on It's Gonna Work.
I think it's gonna work in white decks.
It's gonna do work is probably the best way to put it.
Ah, there you go. Good stuff. So yeah, moving on from there, we have our first dilemma from the new set. Buckball Championship. Blue dilemma. So obviously everyone...
And it's not broken.
Indeed. Everyone, of course, compares this with 2x Reign of Terror, and it is an unfavorable comparison for this card. But
it's just worse. Like, it's kind of mean to compare this to the best dilemma they printed in the last set, though.
Yeah.
What I really like about this card is if you're like, oh man, I can confront both and have 2 action tokens, you can just go, I'll just get an extra point.
Yeah.
Just put it down. It gets considered. Obviously, in most cases, you're going to be like, oh, Night Glider, do I win by 5 and get 2 points? But it still just kind of feels like it's just going to be fun. And in Limited especially, I'm really excited to just be like, okay, so I confront both and I have 2 action tokens, and yeah, I'll take that extra point.
Yeah, indeed. Like, as you say, this card comes out very unfavorably versus the other blue dilemma. But if you look at it on its own merits, it's actually not that bad. You're basically getting 2 AT for a point, which is about the usual rate that you pay for extra points. And
it's not the most inefficient.
Yeah, and you're getting a dilemma on top of that, which situationally is very useful. And
the fact it's 4.
Indeed,
4 is tiny.
4 is nothing.
Like with Bluna, you can confront this for 1 action token afterwards.
Yep.
Like, it's just a fact.
Yeah. And of course, that point is virtually always going to be scored for you. Now, if the opponent like snips and snails it or something,
they'll snips and snails it away, and that's kind of the only way to avoid it.
Yeah. But besides that,
because we don't have any efficient get rid of a problem's ability cards.
Yeah, there are ways to do it, but not very efficiently.
Not
and
very good.
You know, for the single point, sometimes your opponent would want to get rid of that ability, but most often it's
yeah.
But as I say, you play this card out, you're virtually guaranteed that point is going to be scored at some point.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty good.
That's what I like about it.
As you point out, in the limited, that's really good.
Yeah, especially like in limited, this card is going to be great. Back in limited. Oh no, that control deck has got a troublemaker there, so I can't double face off. I'm just gonna play a dilemma and do it anyway. It's great. Dilemmas are always good, pretty much in limited, unless they're too inefficient, like the orange one was, because it cost 2 and had like 6 or 7, which was just like, ugh.
Yeah, funny to work with on that one. But yeah, this one.
But this one, 2 and 4 is fine.
Yeah, it looks very much like what you would imagine. Like if someone told you that dilemmas were going to be a thing in this game. This is kind of the card with the power level that I'd expect for them, right? Okay, yeah. So it's another problem, and that's what it's good for. Great. And it's got a small little bonus on it, but sure, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not something that I can just confront and completely ruin my opponent's day.
Yeah, I feel like this got tested with bonus 2 for a while, and they were like, no, that's a bit too far.
Yeah. That's actually a fair question. You wonder if we'll ever see a bonus 2. Okay, hold a second. Are any of the other dilemmas bonus 2?
Dilemmas.
There are.
I think the orange one was, which is why it costs so much.
Yeah.
But I feel like this one could have been tested with bonus 2 initially, and they went, no. When it gives 2 extra points, it's too big.
Yeah, I imagine so. But as
it is, perfectly good.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the question is, right, if you've got your blue decks that are running T-Rex, do you include this card now?
Probably not, but it also depends on how the meta changes, because you might more dilemmas, and this isn't the worst.
It's that's very true. When you have, to come back to my experience from this weekend, if you're running, if you're a blue deck and you're running against a control opponent, like you've got T-Rex and you've got Epic Wind, and usually those two, maybe Rutherford, are like your only outs against control.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and so having this as another out, potentially quite useful. But it does.
It just depends on if any other dilemmas outshine it, which, based on how blue's been this entire set, they probably will.
Yeah, possibly.
Because then to play clearly feel bad for how good blue has been.
And we thank them for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just want the yellow one to be really useful for Flutter Holly and Thorax.
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of synergy.
The Industrial Revolution's already good.
Yeah, Industrial Revolution's already pretty good. But when this problem is solved, put 10 tokens into play at home.
You guys just makes you some 0 power friend tokens with no types, so you can't really buff them.
Yeah. Oh.
And their cost is considered 8 million. Because Penny Lane's banned, so it doesn't matter that their cost is 8 million.
It's true.
It's just, I don't know.
But
anyway, I really like it.
Oh no, yeah, I think this is a good step in the right direction as far as dilemma design goes.
Yes, it's very nice.
Yeah. Alrighty, so moving on.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So now we get into our Everfree cards. These are ones that just came out just yesterday, so very fresh in the minds of people. Starting off with Join the Herd, what looks to be the sort of generic color fixing card in Defenders of Equestria. 2 cost for giving one of your characters any color that you want. And, well, they fixed the whole any color thing. Any color that's in the game that you want. And also +2 power at immediate speed. So this is an interesting way to do color fixing.
So it's nice because it feels like Makeover, but they've tweaked and messed with its design to make it so it's not just Makeover.
Indeed, yeah.
So the immediate and the fact that it's +2 power until end of turn means that you can be like, okay, not only am I going to +2 this, get color requirement to play this, that also means it can confront this. Or it's like, oh man, I'm not going to beat this troublemaker. Oh wait, I'll do my makeover effect early. Bam, I beat it.
Yep.
And things like that. So I feel like it's like a really fun design for these makeover effects that we've had in the past. That means it can actually be used for other things, which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Versatility is always good.
For most of the time, this is going to be as good as Makeover for sure, because even if you don't have a high-powered friend to give you your fix on, that +2 power will take care of it for you anyway.
You can get to 3 requirement on a start side of a main, and 3 requirements where it's at with most cards.
Yeah. So if you if you find yourself in, I imagine you probably didn't watch the final match of the tournament.
No, I've been very busy.
Yeah, so it was a really strange one because both players were sitting on DJ mains, which were impossible to flip because there was a Deep Darkness in play. And yeah,
okay,
this card would have been great for either of them right there.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah,
I still laugh maniacally when I used to do that when I saw DJ in my local group more often.
Yeah.
Just oh hey, I have a hand with Nightmare Moon Deep Darkness in starting hand. I'm gonna play it turn 1.
Yep.
Go.
Yep. By the way, for anybody in the chat and for you, I'd highly recommend watching that game. By the way, it was one of the most unusual and unique games of MLB that I have ever seen, and for the most part, just absolutely hilarious. Both players sitting on DJ. There was a Nightmare Moon out, so like they were both pretty much paralyzed because they couldn't put their main over, and they kept discarding the cards they needed. Yeah. Really.
You see, this is the problem with running decks that rely too heavily on having a requirement from sources that aren't just entry friends.
That's true. But anyway,
it's why technically every deck I make is a bit low on the power level curve, because I don't like taking those risks, because they always end up backfiring somewhere.
Sometimes in a tournament final. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah.
But anyway, lengthy tangent. I think we're both in agreement that this is an excellent addition.
It's a real good card. I have no idea what deck wants it in constructed, but I know that some decks will.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
The 2 cost makes me think to myself, is this actually going to be a general purpose replacement for Makeover? Not sure.
No, of course not. Because something costing 1 for playing into cards is much better than something costing 2 to play into other cards. But it's for purple stuff that can just afford that extra 1 and just be like, yeah, I don't care, do this.
Yeah.
And things like that. It'll have very particular decks where that +2 power will be relevant and you'll really want it for certain situations.
Yeah. And
it'll just help you do things. All sorts of lovely things.
And the flexibility and the fact that it's a common, by the way, makes me think this is a pretty awesome limited card, probably.
Oh, easily. The just 2 costs for 2 power at immediate, even if it's temporary, feels playable on its own. just because you can do a lot of little bits of shenanigans with that. You know what I find is a tiny shame with this card because I would have found it funny?
Go ahead.
If it said choose a character so that you could be like, I'll +2 that and food fight it.
Ah, that would be interesting.
But unfortunately, it's not. I love interactions like that where it's like, you know, you do this positive thing to my opponent's stuff. It makes them vulnerable to this thing. Bonk.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've worded it so you can't do that, which is a shame.
A little unfortunate that, yeah. Oh well. I mean, it's true that Food Fight is kind of a good enough card already. Perhaps they didn't want to make it much better, but
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Making it cost 4 to dismiss anything, you may as well run whatever the 3-cost one is that I've run for ages. From EO at Rare.
Oh,
Rolling Tones.
Rolling Tones, yeah, that's one.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one's just good.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Or if you're paying 4 action tokens, you may as well just party of them.
Yeah, that's a point well made there too. Yeah.
But yeah, I still think this is a legitimately good card that'll see play and Killy likes it, but it's not going to become a staple.
Yeah,
I'd say
it's not going to replace all the color fixing ever, but it is good for what it does.
Yeah. I'm liking having variants of cards that have varying costs, but either do a weaker or stronger version of an ability. It's just nice that we're getting stuff like that here, there, and everywhere.
Indeed, yeah. Alrighty. Well, care to move on?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're going to be taking on Sunburst next. 2-power, purple-yellow cost with the Calming 2, with Factory Jack's Immediate, and with the On Confront loss of an action token for the opponent. So those first 2 abilities we've seen already, as I said. You know, we're stealing Factory Jack's text here. But that On Confront loss of AT, I don't believe we've had a card that does that yet.
No, it's always been Face Off.
Yeah, it's always been Face Off.
Cared about with yellow.
So that is
specifically Confront is kind of cute.
Indeed, yeah. So there's a lot going on here in terms of things this card does.
So let's start off with that they costed this type of card correctly for once.
Yes.
2 action tokens, not 1.
Yep, that's a good point.
So that's nice. It doesn't have Stubborn. It has Guidance Counselor Syndrome, which is fine, where it can confront and then exhaust later. Because the fact that it gives you an action token means that sometimes you'll just want to exhaust it beforehand anyway.
Yep, sure.
The Calming 2 is interesting, but I've never seen Calming being insanely relevant, but the fact he kind of just has it is nice.
Yeah, Calming is a strange thing. I've tried it, and like it's not, in certain situations it's pretty good, but
seems to work only if you've got Showy as well, but then they just play in a movement event and skip both.
Yeah.
And I cry.
Yeah. So the one thing I guess that's like, you know, the AT gain is obviously good. We've seen like
oh yeah, of course,
all of the cards that have done that see play. So obviously that's good. Now, as you point out, this card's costed more conservatively.
Yes.
Although notably, you know, cover to cover is 2 for 0, and it still sees play, right? So I think that 3 for 2 is probably pretty fine on that.
But then that also has Prepared and Meticulous, of which are relevant keywords off an index.
Yes.
Especially if you're running Control, Meticulous is an incredibly relevant keyword.
Yes, there's a point.
Don't need that, bye-bye.
Point very well made, and so, yeah, and you're right. If you think of like, if you're running this in a control deck, you don't want your opponent to be confronting problems anyway. So that third text is certainly seeming less useful. As you pointed out, the Calming 2 is, it's something, but it's not immediately great. And so if we were to slice those all off and say, okay, we're running this in a control deck for AT gain, it is a 2 power, 3 cost with just factory decks text. Is that good enough?
In purple yellow? Yeah. Because you're not purple orange?
I guess, yeah.
Um,
Although, I'm just going to go in before some control deck runs all 9 cover to cover 3 Sunburst, 3 Factory Jacks. You know,
oh, don't forget about the castle. I was
yeah,
going to start
okay.
mentioning castle.
Point, well, yeah.
So,
For a guy gains 12 AT on his turn. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, the best card to compare this to is Castle, because they have the same cost. Now, for purple yellow, interacting with resources isn't a thing you do, really, except for banishing or dismissing them.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy feels like a card you'd run instead of Castle in something that's purple and yellow and trying to do anything resembling control or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If purple yellow needed Castle, I don't know. I haven't played purple yellow. But I feel like the confront text is more interesting than you're going to give it credit for. Because, yeah, it's a bit weird, but I feel like it's when you've got a troublemaker on only one problem, and they're like, oh, yeah, I can still confront this and keep going and getting points. The problem means you can't store to try and beat the troublemaker as well. It kind of puts a spanner in the works for your opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the biggest spanner, but it's still there.
Yeah. Now it's
still going to bug them.
Mm-hmm. It's worth pointing out that this kind of suffers from the same problem that Philomena up in Smoke does, which is that that one triggers at the end of the turn. This one they're confronting the problem, so it clearly triggers during the score phase. They have the ability to see that there and say, okay, well, I'm just going to draw cards with my AT, so to make sure that it's useful.
Yeah, but like as I said, if they want to store up tokens, say if you play this early and they're like, oh, I want to get to 4 so I can play Thunderlane, and it's just like,
right, yeah,
for me, and things like that. It just feels like that little bit of tax that could just sort of keep your opponent back one tiny step that you might need.
Okay, yeah, that's a point well made.
Not that it's like game-breakingly good or anything. I think this is the closest thing we're ever going to have to a guidance counselor-esque effect anymore.
Yeah.
Where it's not, you're getting action tokens and I'm stealing them away. It's like, you've had your time with them. You're not allowed to store them.
Sorry, that sounded so quaint. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so I suppose you make a pretty good point. But yeah, it's tricky to kind of evaluate precisely what this card's going to do, where it's going to go. Obviously,
still kind of feels like an uncommon rather than a rare, though.
Yeah, I've seen Zipper Will decks running. That they're obviously the purple yellow deck right now, and if I ask myself, would that deck like this card? Yeah, probably. AT gain's always great. It's
it feels like a card it may as well run.
Yeah, that's the kind of
that makes playing your higher requirement both colors cards easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't forget, this has one requirement on each side, which means you can play it turn 2 with Trading Traditions, and then you have all the purple yellow you need. Well, let's say that. I always consider 3 to be all you need, even though stuff like Thunderlane has 5 or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, you basically have all that you'll need because, yeah, you'll just play into more things and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a pretty good early game play for that AT gain, as we're well aware. And also because that on confront effect is probably going to be relevant, or at least could be more relevant in the early game when you haven't set up your troublemakers yet,
something
or whatever. Yeah. And personally,
in limited, I think this card's rare because of limited. Because sometimes in limited things can go a bit grindy, and if you have him behind the problem your opponent's confronting, and it just means they have to token out pretty much every turn.
Yeah.
Top notch.
Yeah, and it's a good point that I think AT gain's been kept in the higher rarity slots, and in the case of cover to cover, completely out of limited. Probably for a pretty good reason.
Cover to cover is not a card I'd want in limited. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh hey, you got a copy. Cool, you win. Bye bye. Pretty much. Well, no, not. It doesn't do an insane amount.
Yeah, not quite, but yeah, it's not quite the Squidward name.
Yeah. Why is that one of the ones you can just pick when you do limited in that block?
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I also like that the art is just kind of cute.
It's very true. Yes. Yeah. It's a pretty nice piece of artwork there.
It's just like super chilled out art.
Yeah. Kind of like.
Also, like the flavor. I think he has calming just for the flavor. It's a babysitter.
Well, yeah, sure. Why not, right? It's a very yellow card.
If I find out that's the legitimate reason they gave him calming 2, I will laugh. Why'd you give him calming 2? Just flavor reasons. Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I think the jury's really still out. Unless you're willing to make a verdict on it.
I'd say he's playable, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the deck he'll be in will be playable enough once the new set comes in.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be getting boosts, but then there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, it's fair to say that Defenders looks like he's going to shake things up pretty severely. Says I now, before we end up with all Luna and Zippo again. Yeah.
Epic decks topping the new big tournament before the meta tries to actually figure itself out properly.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yes, a card that's still waiting on extra considerations, I guess, for us to figure out precisely how good it's going to be.
It definitely feels like a card you have to play to figure out rather than just read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would
mainly because that last bit of text.
Yeah.
Because I'd say this card's like better than cover to cover if you take 2 action tokens off your opponent and it was relevant in any way.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to say it, honestly. Okay.
I think that's all I can really say about him.
Yeah, I think that's good. So coming up, we have the most complicated of the new cards to come out. Our new ultra rare.
That it still doesn't actually have the text for redeem on it.
Yeah, I just have that on the Facebook page here. So to give you the basic outline, 4 power, 7 cost for pink requirement. Has that redeem keyword hasty, which is a pretty interesting one. We'll get to that. And it has kind of a uniqueification effect, kind of. When you play it, you get to make an opposing friend unique, kind of, and get rid of all the other ones. And redeem.
Not quite.
Yeah, it's not quite, I suppose. Well, I always get this mixed up. Name.
Just finish the description for it.
I
will get into why that second bit of text is insane.
Yeah. So when you play this card, dismiss an opposing friend and each other opposing friend with the same name. Take it away.
So, early in Magic's design, because I like going back and looking at things, they created a cycle of cards called Echoing X. Cast the spell, it does the same effect to everything of the same name. Now, they were balanced with it, and they had removal that was conditional on and then hit of everything of the same name. This card reads, if your opponent is running critter tokens, they all die. If your opponent is running that annoying card like Zipper will, and they have 2 of it out just to annoy you more, they all die. It's just, if something's a problem and they have multiple, they're all gone. Don't worry, dude. It's fine. They are all gone.
Right. Sorry, I actually missed that.
Yeah, it's not that it keeps one over. It gets rid of everything of the same name. So this absolutely destroys tokens instantaneously. If they're all critters, gone. Bye-bye. Thorax, very, 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 very sad, because the main thing you're going to be using to make him huge, I would guess, is critter tokens. But yeah, this card is incredibly good because it just, if you're relying on one friend for a strategy, it just gets rid of all copies of it that's in play.
Yep. How many times
cool.
once again, coming back to my experience this weekend, how many times has the other player just been sad, saying, "Oh, you have all your covers out. Oh, I'm sad." Well,
yeah. Oh, they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone. Great.
Next.
Yeah. And so,
man, you've played all your AJs. Now they're gone, and you don't even have to play Party of One to do that because this card is just good.
Yeah. Now.
Also, did you explain the text for redeem, or do we need to quickly go over that?
I was going to get to that right now. So, redeem, as was revealed in the Facebook post for this this kind of batch of cards, says that as an additional cost to play this card, you can retire a friend with the same title, and that's specific text, which is very important. I'll just clarify that after I finish. And if you do that, then you can reduce the cost of this card by 3. AT, that is. And title...
Friend or troublemaker?
Yes, sorry, friend or troublemaker. That's correct.
Cool.
So the reason why title is such an important distinction is because it does not count the entire name of the card, just the top line. So you can retire any Discord. And I have a second little slide here. Here we go. All the friend and troublemaker Discords that are currently in the game.
Yep.
You could, if you have any of these in play, you can retire it at immediate speed, because this thing's hasty, and throw this thing down as a 4/4, which is quite nice.
You know what my the play I want to see with this card is? Now that you've shown it, I already had it in mind, but it's on the screen. I want there to be a face-off where someone's got 4 action tokens, flips the Chaotic Discord, puts it into play, retires it, and plays this.
That would be something.
That would just be so satisfying to see. So good.
Yeah, that would be very impressive, I'd say, yeah. And so...
Other than that, I think the troublemaker part of the text is probably the most important in many cases.
Yes. Those,
because paying 1 action token, saying flipping the villain Discord, frightening a bunch of stuff, and then going, "Oh, I'll just get rid of that and play this." Okay,
yeah,
that's totally fair. Right?
That's totally great because that villain Discord, it's kind of the card that you maybe don't even want to see in play forever because I think the reason people stay away from it is because the text is kind of crazy on that one. But yeah, if you're using it primarily just as a frighten effect and I'm gonna play my standing up into play for free, or not for free,
also,
but for
I kind of want to know its ruling with frightened friends.
I believe.
Does the fact that they have no name at that point mean that, or what?
Oh, I see what you mean there.
Rules are weird.
Yeah, the potential.
I need to look at what frightening actually is again.
Yeah.
I'd say frightening is probably one of the most complicated rules thing in the game.
I would imagine.
Or that, unique to this.
I would imagine that this won't just nuke all the frightened friends if it goes in play.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
because that would be stupid.
That would be very stupid. But you're right. That is a clarification we should probably get. But anyway, as you point out, the value equation, if you're using a troublemaker, is pretty good. You pay 1,
especially if it's the villain Discord.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You pay 1 to get a 3 cost requirement. If you're using one of the friends, then the calculation gets a little bit more complicated because you're paying AT for the friend, and then you're kind of losing its value later. So it's a little bit strange.
So now that I've stared at the card for a while, it feels like a very sort of build around me version of Megamare.
Yeah, you can kind of see the comparison there.
But obviously, you get upside because of it, like hasty, and the fact that it, annihilate all tokens of the same name and stuff like that, being sort of stacked on top rather than just one thing, and that it hits something that's anywhere, not just at a problem.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. It's worth noting that 4 cost hasty is big. Obviously we have a 4 cost hasty friend who sees a lot of play right now. that being Thunderlane, of course. So clearly, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh my gosh. I want to see someone try and use their Thunder Lane to beat the villain Discord, and then they're just like, I'll get rid of that villain Discord to get rid of your Thunder Lane.
That would be something, yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, and it's actually at immediate speed, so you can use it in that case as a defensive cracking the case.
I like it.
Where, hey,
Yes,
I'm
like
going to lose. Great, I'll just get rid of the Discord and boom, your Thunderlane's gone.
Yeah. He's kind of a cute bit of points denial. I forget, what does that? When this card is uncovered, each player retires a friend. Damn, I forgot about that Discord from AD.
Yep. Oh yeah, he's
that bonus 2/1.
Kind of a reason why it never saw play, I think.
Well, with this Discord, that's not the worst uncover effect. And if you make it so your opponent doesn't get the 2 points from it because you use this on it,
yeah,
it's not the worst. Now,
yeah, it's true that this card kind of, and when I say this card, I mean the big one on the left, kind of breathes a little bit of new life into all of these old Discord cards, which maybe didn't see much play,
because it gives them
especially
the potential to just be that bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, you know, if you do that, then you're putting the card in purely for the purpose of activating this card, which is, you know, makes you a little bit inflexible for situations where you have it stuck in your hand.
Still feels like it could be like a one-off because that retire effect isn't the weakest.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the bonus 2 that's kept him back, I'd say. If I had bonus 0, like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, oh my goodness, that'd be excellent. But yeah, and so, and can I just remark for a second? There was a lot of people speculating on what redeem would mean. I personally really enjoy what it turned out. It's incredibly flavorful. You just like you turn your bad Discord into a good Discord, right? Makes so much sense.
Yeah, like I'd say my incredibly minor gripe with it is that the reduction is set to a specific number, and that always makes me feel a little sad when you can't be like, I'll play this huge friend and retire it to this one and make it cost 1. You know, because it'll be based on the cost of what you retired or something.
Yeah, or if you could get rid of like 3 Discords to have this thing be free or whatever.
Yeah, like if you could stack it on top where you just like retire 2 Discord, dump it for 1, like that'd be funny. But obviously, they probably tested all sorts of versions of it and went, this is the most balanced way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And certainly, on an effect like this, as you say, at immediate speed, if you could play this for however much, like 1 or free or whatever, that'd be way too good. And it's worth noting for any guys who want to consider it, that text only happens when you play it, not when it's put into play. So
yes, they very specifically went, you can't portal this card, go away.
Yeah, you can't portal it, you can't redeeming qualities it. It must come from your hand if you want that text to fire.
Yes, thus your better redeeming qualities target is the other redeem card we've seen.
Yeah. So, I think we're pretty much in agreement that the card is pretty good.
Yeah.
Certainly the kind of card that, like, if you're playing against a pink opponent and you see they've got that 4AT, you see they've got a Discord in play, something to be very afraid of.
You sit there staring at them like,
yes. So yeah, a worthy ultra rare. So far, we've had pretty good ultra rares so far, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because what we've had 4.
4. Yes, we've had
AJ, Glim, Discord, main.
Yes. Yeah.
So 4.
4 so far, and they've all been pretty impressive. So, speaking of Glim, shall we?
Yes.
So, for her, I've also taken the liberty of giving us all the friend and troublemaker Starlight Glimmers currently in the game. Far fewer options, notably, but you know, Discord did have a whole set dedicated to him, so I suppose that's understandable.
AD did help a little.
Yeah. And
The fact that she's literally been in the show, like not as long as him, wouldn't help either. She has literally existed for a shorter amount of time.
Yeah. So obviously, for the same reason, for the same consideration as described, we look at the troublemakers first. And I think that our best value proposition is on the bottom left there, exposed inequality, probably.
Yeah, I love it. The best card for it is a common.
Yep, totally.
That's so funny to me. Flip, move this, get rid of it, play this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it's worth noting again that now that we know that redeem reduces cost by 3, we can see how this one being an 8 cost and a 5 power. Oh, makes perfect sense, right? Yeah. Now it drops down to a 5 for 5. So.
Well, it's sort of a 6 for 5 because I played another card to play it and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Things get a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
And
you know what I kind of want them to print though?
Go ahead.
I just want like a 4 for 5 with redeem and nothing else. It's like you can play this really cheap, and it's like, whoa, look at how cheap that was, but doesn't do anything. It's just a really efficient frame.
Interesting.
I think that would be interesting.
Which character would that be, you think? Someone worthy of being redeemed.
I don't know, Sombra from the comics.
Oh.
Sombra from the comics. He got redeemed in the comics.
Yeah, that'd be an idea.
Or Sunset.
Oh, yes, that's a good point.
Nah, she's a unicorn. She can do things.
Yeah, whatever.
Also, just a thing to bring up. I hope redeem isn't exclusively ultra rare.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I've
because it's kind of sucky, but when one of your big advertisements is stuck on your hardest to get cards.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it might be for the set. We'll see. I mean, obviously, Interplay has been preferring to keep it to the ultra rare so far because they have the most interesting effects and such. I mean, it seems. Yeah, it seems like the kind of effect that you stick on a card like this and discard, which have these absolutely monstrous effects, and it just is like the thing of this set that you've got these huge cards that do amazing things, and you kind of have to work a little bit to get them at good value. Now, the same sort of my evaluation of this card's text, sort of, from the first time that I saw it, still sort of holds, right? Prepared and putting stuff into play for free, it's good together. I don't really see this as being the greatest thing ever for a control deck. I don't see this as being, the greatest thing ever for a farming deck. If purple aggro was a thing, it'd be kind of good there, but I don't really see purple aggro being a thing. So I'm still not super excited for the card itself.
Yeah, it seems interesting, and it might have a deck that likes it, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what this card is going to do. It's going to do this, like with the Discord, where it's just like, it is going to hit this, it's going to stop this, it's going to annoy this. As long as it can fit into a deck, it's going to do good things.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's good, but...
Yeah, not entirely clear where it fits. Although, the effect being so good, it's entirely possible that, something will spring up around it.
It'll be its own thing.
Yeah. Which would be very nice to see. Purple kind of has a deserved reputation right now. And if something could change that, that'd be great.
Something new could happen with it, hopefully, for once.
Yeah. I mean... And, kind of going in with that, it's kind of funny how it translates. Like, if you look at these other Starlight Glimmers, 4 of them are pretty much control cards, and we have just the one, just exposed inequality that you see being run in other kinds of decks, right? And so that also kind of factors in. And there could be more Starlight Glimmers coming in Defenders of Equestria. In fact, there very likely are.
I feel like you're gonna support it so that you can redeem these cards in limited. Well, in pre-release, I'll specifically say.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably a good way to say it.
Because obviously limited can be all sorts and use any combination of boosters. So just saying limited's a bit wiggly.
So, I suppose having said that, it's entirely possible that the full evaluation of this card is going to have to wait until we see what kind of Starlight Glimmer supporting set is going to be there for it.
See what we can eat with it.
Yeah. But yeah, now that we know what it does, I mean, at least we have a full picture of it. Still not super excited, but it's a pretty good card.
It feels like it'll be very fun to play with, though.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Just okay, cool. I'm done with this. Alrighty.
Yeah, so that does bring us to the end of our
yes, it is.
cards up to now. Yeah. So I suppose I did say I was going to talk a little bit. I already have spent pretty much the whole stream talking about my experience with Everfree, just because it's so fresh in my mind. But yeah, it was a pretty fair tournament. A very diverse field, funnily enough. Our top 8 actually included control, combo, aggro, and farming. So very good from that perspective.
I saw that on the Reddit.
Yeah.
I was like it's almost 8 different deck lists. I can't remember if it was or not.
There were two of the same pie eating contests, unfortunately.
2 of the same. So almost 8 different deck lists.
Almost, yeah. Yeah.
Diversity? Woo.
Always great. Always great. Now, for what it's worth, the combo did win. Eventually in what, as I've already said, was an amazing final. Totally worth watching. But yeah. And surely there will be discussions up and down the Reddit. Obviously, I think, like, with it being so close to the set coming out, I don't know if Interplay is really in the mood to be banning stuff right now, because who knows what might change when the new set drops.
Always, if a set is literally a month away, it's usually easier to just go, unless we know that this card is going to still be the most brokenest thing ever, like we already know in testing.
Yeah.
Just leave it and see what happens, and if it's still broken, just go cool, bonk.
Right.
Next.
Yeah. So, by the sounds of things, set coming down in June, BronyCon in August. I imagine probably Gen Con in that area will be where those evaluations take place. And if the deck is still pretty stupid at Gen Con, then yeah, then Interplay will probably consider taking action.
Blazing the good old banhammer.
Yeah. But besides that, still saw the good old standbys. At Everfree, we had quite a few Zipper Wheel decks doing well. A little bit of, actually saw a fair amount of Luna on the stream, that being blue, of course. Did okay for itself.
Yeah.
All in all, it's a pretty good stream. And obviously, I should extend thanks out to the Commentaries Magic people for giving me the opportunity to do the commentary. Had a blast. It was a good time. Would do again if they need me. And I believe that they are doing a little bit else today as well. They have a Team Sealed event going on, which I believe is going to be streamed. Not with me commentating. I do have a life. I do have laundry to do and groceries to get.
Fair enough.
But yeah. And as far as we go, I think we're just going to be coming back to you again in 2 weeks. If you have no objections to that solving.
Yeah, we'll see what spoilers drop, and if there is any sort of talking topic that comes up.
Yep.
Could talk about that.
I think so, yeah.
But nothing specific to announce here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. So, yeah, that pretty much brings us to the end of our scheduled content. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Sloan?
Not that I can think of.
Alrighty. So, all you folks in the chat, thank you very much for coming out and supporting us for our May 14th. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to everybody out there. I don't think we have any mothers out listening to us right now, but I'm going to say it anyway. And yeah, I think that'll do it. So I've been Cursed Chords.
And I'm solving problems.
And we shall see you all in 2 weeks.
See ya.